Hello everyone, ARG back, and we have some more Franchise Hockey Manager 9 on the menu today. And today it is February of 1982. And you know what that means? That means that if you're in Canada, it's cold as fuck. But it also means that we are looking at me extending contracts and deciding who's going to go. So we're going to take a quick look at who it is that I have extended, and then once they all have accepted their contract, it's going to be a little bit easier to see who it is I am not bringing back. So I tried to strike a balance, at least for the forwards. I have so little depth at D and at goaltender that I pretty much extended anybody playing those positions. But up front, I kind of try to mix and match that a little bit more. Alright, so we're going to take a look here real quick. So Bo Berglund, I am going to bring back. He's been a little disappointing. He's been hurt a few times. He's been, scratched a few times and everything. But, he's depth on the right side. So I'm going to bring him back. Kent Carlson got a contract extension because he plays D. Ken Allen got a contract extension because he's a goaltender. Mark Messier got a contract extension because he is going to be a superstar. Nagbar I brought back mostly for a little bit more depth, but I don't expect for him to maybe even play in the NHL at this point. Neufeld I brought back. He has some decent role ratings, and he's 22, so I'm kind of hoping that maybe he's going to, get a little bit better. We'll see. Tom O'Regan, the guy that I just acquired in a trade, so I figured I would go ahead and extend him. We'll see what happens with him. Rob Ramage, obviously, I'm bringing back. Mark Renault, bringing back because he plays D for the most part. Gordy Roberts, bringing back. Stuart Smith, defenseman. Jay Wells is coming back, and then Tony Fiore I'm bringing back because he has a star and a half potential. Is he going to reach that? I have absolutely no idea, but at least I am willing to try. Other than that, as we saw at the end of the last stream, we managed to go all the way up to third in the conference. That's pretty impressive, especially if you consider that 2 months ago we were ninth in the conference. So we have climbed up our way to a very envious position in the standings. However, it looks like February is going to be very road heavy for games, so we're going to be tested a little bit. We're going to be able to see if our team fares well on the road. We're going to be tested there. On the injury front, we have Wilf Payment, Ron Stackhouse, and Anton Stashny are all hurt, but they are all day-to-day. Do I have to do anything about that? Wolf Payment can't play, Stashny can't play, Sutter Anderson, we're good, and yep, we're all good. Oh, I guess Stackhouse is on the injury. Yeah, okay. There we go. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and advance one day, right? And then we're gonna go ahead and take a look at whom it is that I am not bringing back. Usually when I don't bring back a player, I put him automatically on the trading block, but I'm not doing this for everybody this time around because some of the players I do need for our playoff run this season. So like guys like Pierre Bouchard and Ron Stackhouse I am not bringing back, but I kind of need them in the lineup. So those guys are not on the trading block. Alright, so let's take a look here. Owner confidence update. Thinks that the season is successful so far and the team has played very well. Rebuilding, taking a longer view. We're not expecting to be serious contenders. Fans aren't thrilled. No need to worry about your job. So pretty much the same thing that we always see. Right, and I am not going to read all of those. Everybody accepted their contract updates or contract extensions. So we're just going to delete all the messages. And now, as promised, we're going to go ahead and take a look at whom it is that's not going to come back. So all of those players are not going to be coming back. So that's going to give me a lot of contract slots because I've been complaining about that quite a bit, right? Oh, I don't have any contract slots. I don't have contract slots. Well, I'm going to get contract slots now. So Pierre Bouchard isn't going to come back. Jeff Bandura, I'm not bringing back, even though he's a defenseman. He's 24 and he's an alpha star. He doesn't have good role ratings, so he's just not going to make it. Stackhouse, as I mentioned, he's not going to be coming back. Jeff Brubaker, I decided to part ways with him. He's mostly a face puncher. I'm trying to move away from that. Jordy Douglas, I'm going to let go. He's one of those quote-unquote fake 2.5 star players. He only has a 10 position rating in a couple different areas, so I have a feeling that he's probably gonna kind of dwindle down. Chuck Lefley's 32, he's still a 2.5 star player, kind of the same deal. He's only a 10 in a couple things, so I have better, so we're gonna move away from the veteran. Sherman never played for us. Baron Schott did play for us in the initial season, but since then he's not been very good. We're gonna part ways with Ray Allison. He did play for us some, but we're parting ways with him. Gideon Hill, Bobby Stevenson, so that's one of the guys that I need in the lineup, but I'm not going to extend. He's 28. He's a 10 in, I think, 2 positions, so we're not going to worry about that. Tidy is not coming back, and Simmerda is not coming back either, so some of those guys I do need in the lineup. You know, Chuck Lefley I need Jordy Douglas and everything, but by next season I'm gonna have young players and hopefully a couple maybe free agents to fill those spots. So those are the guys that are not coming back. I feel very dehydrated today, by the way, so you know, please pardon my opulence with all of the Gatorade drinking. Gatorade Zero, of course. I am diabetic. I love the Gatorade Zeros, by the way. Love it. I love that Gatorade finally did that. Alright, so now to start the month of February, we are going to start on the road. We are in LA to play the Kings. Kings are 18, 28, and 6. So again, not that great of a season in LA. Although a little bit better than last season. Still not all that great. We played once against the Kings this season. It was a tie, a 2-2 tie at home. Let's see if we can beat them on the road. Ooh. So with Wilf Payment hurt, Glenn Anderson is seeing some time on the top line. That's interesting. Of course, Wilf Payment was playing really well, right? So he got hurt. The computer was like, no, you're not going to continue to be among the top scorers. I'm going to hurt you here. Alright, so Gilles Gilbert is going to be in net for us. We are going to be facing Rick Wamsley. And of course, go Waiters, go. Let us have a good month of February now, shall we? And it starts really well with a 6-2 victory on the road against the LA Kings. We outshot them 39-21. Mark Messier was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Peter Stastny was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Darren Veitch was the third star with a goal and an assist. So LA scored the first goal of the game, and then Mark Messier scored his 15th of the season from Peter Stastny and Darren Veitch. Then Darren Veitch scored his 5th from Jordy Douglas and Matty Hagman, and then Matty Hagman from Jay Wells and Jordy Douglas. It was 3-1 Hartford after one. Then in the second period, Rick Aduano scored from Chuck Lefley and Rob Ramage, and then Chuck Lefley from Rob Ramage. It was 5-1 Hartford after 2. We had a fight between André Saint-Laurent and Rick Aduano. Then in the third period, the Kings scored, and then we added one more goal. Peter Stastny scored his 25th from Mark Messier and Paul Coffey. We had another fight between Al Angsleben and Rob Ramage. Alright, pretty good game. Good night for Guy Lafleur. He had 2 goals and 4 assists against the Flames. Butch Goring reaches 300 goals. He had a goal against the New York Rangers. Anders Carlson, Todd Struby are more comfortable. And Glenn Hanlon signed a contract extension with Vancouver. He's going to be there for 3 more years. Alright, we have 2 days off, and then we're going to be in Colorado to play against the Rockies. Chris Odolifson has been put on waivers, so there was Gary Morrison and John Wensink. Strong night for Rick Keogh with Pittsburgh. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Minnesota North Stars. I guess no 7-goal game for Dino Ciccarelli in that game. Alright, we are in Colorado now. We're going to play the Rockies. Rockies, another rough season in Colorado. 18-30-6. We are 1-0 against Colorado this season. It was a 6-3 victory on home ice. Now we're playing them on the road, and hopefully we win this as well. Alright, John Garrett in net for the Whalers. Wayne Stevenson in net for the Rockies. Go, Whalers, go. And it's a 3-3 tie. Now that's a game we should have won. We're leaving points on the board at that point is how I feel with this game. Now when we tie on the road against a really strong team, I can live with that. I'm like, okay, yeah, we went into a tough building, played a tough team, got a tie, but we should have won this game. Oh yeah, we got robbed. We outshotted Colorado 49-29. René Robert was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Paul Coffey was the second star with 2 assists. And Al Sims was the third star with a goal and an assist. Glenn Anderson opened up the scoring in the first period. That was a power play goal from Paul Coffey and Chuck Lefley. Then Colorado tied the game. It was 1-1 after 1. Then in the second period, Colorado scored to make it 2-1. But then Bo Berglund scored from Paul Coffey and Jordy Douglas. It was tied at 2 after 2. Then in the third period, Glenn Anderson scored on the power play from Chuck Lefley and Gordy Roberts. It was 3-2. But about midway through the period, Colorado did score, tie the game, and that stayed at 3-3. No winner in this game here. Then we played the very next day in St. Louis. René Robert extends his assist streak to 8 games with a goal and an assist against us. With payment feeling better. Oh, when Gretzky extended with Edmonton, dang, I thought I was going to be able to get him as a free agent. No, I wasn't really thinking that. That's only a 2-year extension for Gretzky. He's 21, so. New Mike Fiddler trade rumor. Put on the block there in Winnipeg. Right, we are in St. Louis playing the Blues. Blues are very good this season. They are 31-16-6. We are 0-2 against the Blues this season. We played them twice, tied twice. So hopefully we can go ahead and win this game here. Make this at least a series leader or winner or something. Gilles Gilbert is going to be in net for us. Mike Liut is going to be in net for St. Louis. And of course, go Whalers, go! It's another tie against the Blues. The Blues is the team that we cannot find a winner. So a 6-6 tie again against the Blues. We were outshot 38-35 in that one. Bernie Federico was the first star of the game. He had 1 goal and 2 assists. Peter Stastny was the second star of the game with 2 goals and 2 assists. And Crum Bean was the third star with 2 assists. So the Blues scored 3 goals in the first period. They were up 3-0. Then Peter Stastny scored on the power play from Paul Coffey and Gordy Roberts. Then Matty Agman from Jordy Douglas and Jay Wells. It was 3-2. Then St. Louis scored again. St. Louis was up 4-2 after 1. Then in the second period, Rob Ramage scored from Peter Stastny and Mark Messier. Made it 4-3, but the Blues scored again. It was 5-3 St. Louis after 2. And then in the third period, Peter Stastny scored from Mark Messier and Bill Kitchen. It was 5-4. Blues scored again, made it 6-4, and then we showed some good character to come back and tie the game. Gordy Roberts scored on the power play from Mark Messier and Peter Stastny. And then finally, Dave Poulin scored his 10th of the season from Bo Berglund and Chuck Lefley, and it was a 6-6 tie. So the Blues are a pretty good team. So in this instance here, getting the tie doesn't upset me as much. Well, I wasn't overly upset with the tie against Colorado, but I did feel like we should have won the game. Alright, so we have 3 days off, I believe, because it's going to be the All-Star game. René Robert's assist streak ended at 8 games. It was held scoreless against the Montreal Canadiens. No one could stop Marcel Dion in LA. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Vancouver Canucks. Steve Tambellini extends his point streak to 12 games with an assist against the Red Wings. Wolf Payment feeling better, Anton Stastny's feeling better, and the rosters announced for the All-Star game. Paul Coffey, Peter Stastny are going to go. So Wolf Payment is not going. I wonder if it's because he's hurt. But yeah, Paul Coffey is going to be at the All-Star game, and Peter Stastny for the Hartford Whalers. Alright, let's advance here. Oh, lots of players on waivers. Let's take a quick look here. Right, so we have Greg Shepard, John Marks, Kelly Greenbank, Jimmy Jones, Danny Bolduc, Randy Holt, Colin Campbell, Jim Warner, Jean Hamel, and Kim Claxon. And of course, a lot of those guys we have seen in that situation before. Steve Tambellini extends his point streak to 13 games. He had 2 assists against Buffalo. Brian Trottier extends his goal streak to 5 games in the same game. He had a goal and 2 assists. There was no stopping Brian Sutter playing for the Blues. He had a hat-trick against the Red Wings. And that was 5 straight games with a goal for him. Yvon Lambert keeps fans on their feet all night. He had a hat-trick, 3 goals against the Kings. Ron Stackhouse feeling better. Anton Stastny is completely recovered, and there was a trade between the Rangers and the Leafs. Dave the Ball go to the Maple Leafs for Bob Gladney. So Dave the Ball was claimed off waivers just a little while ago, and now he's traded to the Maple Leafs for Bob Gladney. All right. And I believe it is, yeah, today's the NHL All-Star game, so maybe our guys are going to do something. The Campbell Conference defeat the Wales Conference. Oh, well, we lost, I suppose. It was a 3-2 game, and Paul Coffey did get an assist in that game. With Payment almost recovered, Ron Stackhouse almost recovered, and we have one more day off before we play in Pittsburgh against the Penguins. Alright, so Payment is completely recovered, that's good. Then there's been a trade between Edmonton and the Islanders. Leaf O'Golin goes to the Islanders for François Lacombe. François Lacombe was just on waivers. So, yeah. And then we have a trade proposal from the Edmonton Oilers. They are offering us Ron Carter for Ray Allison. I will say no to this, I think. I think I'm going to see what happens with Ray Allison. Yeah, I don't think he's older, and I don't think that he's very close to get better. So I don't think that's a trade that advantages us or is even. Alright, so we are in Pittsburgh now. We're going to be playing the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh really struggles, and I'm very happy about that. Not because I hate Pittsburgh all that much, but because I own their first-round draft pick. So, yeah, Pittsburgh is dead last in our conference with a 12-34-9 record, and we are 2-0 against the Pittsburgh Penguins this season. Hopefully we make it 3-0. We still haven't lost here in February, but we also only have 1 win, so... John Garrett is going to be in net for the Whalers, Michel Larocque in net for Pittsburgh, and of course, as usual, I would like to get a weighty W, so go Hartford, go! And it's a 6-5 victory in Pittsburgh. We outshot Pittsburgh 45-33 in that one. Gordy Roberts was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Randy Carlyle was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Peter Stastny was the third star with 2 goals. Pittsburgh opened up the scoring in the first, then Peter Stastny tied the game from Wolf Payment and Bill Kitchen, and then Pittsburgh scored twice. It was 3-1 Pittsburgh after 1. Then in the second period, Pittsburgh made it 4-1. And then Gordy Roberts scored on the power play from Paul Coffey and Wolf Payment. It was 4-2 Pittsburgh after 2. It looked like we were going to lose that game. But then the third period happened. Glenn Anderson scored his 15th on the power play. That was unassisted. That was 4-3 Pittsburgh. Anton Stastny then tied the game from Glenn Anderson and Gordy Roberts. And then Peter Stastny gave us the lead from Bob Stevenson and Gordy Roberts. Pittsburgh did tie the game, but then with 4:53 left to go in the third period, Rick Aduano scored from Darren Veitch and Bill Kitchen. 6-5 the final score. We also had some face punching. Kurt Fraser and Bill Kitchen, Pat Hughes and Rob Ramage. So that happened. Right. And Bob Stevenson is hurt. Probably hurt his ego that I didn't offer him a contract extension. He's like, hey, I'm contributing. What's going on? Why don't you want me back, man? Oh. He's just day-to-day, so we're good. Oh, Charlie Simmer, our old pal, signed a contract extension with the Colorado Rockies. So well, they don't say for how long, and he's hurt for the rest of the season. So it is what it is. But they have at least extended Charlie Simmer. All right. I'm gonna check Stevenson, what happens with Bob Stevenson here. Alright, so you cannot play. That's okay, we have Bo Berglund, Sutter, and Dave Poulain that can come in for you. Alright, we have 2 days off, and then we're finally gonna play our first home game in February. Mike Bossy extends his assist streak to 8 games. He had 2 goals and an assist against the Blackhawks, and Steve Tambellini's point streak ended at 13 games. In that same game, he was held scoreless. 1 more day off, and then the Rangers are going to be in town. Right, Reg Thomas has been put on the block by Pittsburgh. Right, Rangers in town with a 26-23-6 record. That's good for 6th in the conference. We are 1-0 against them this season. Peter Lindmark is going to be in net for the Rangers. We're going to go with Gilles Gilbert for that one. And of course, go Whalers, go! A 7-5 win. There you go. We outshot the Rangers 36-33. Anton Stastny was the first star of the game. He had 3 goals and an assist. Guy Chouinard was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Glenn Anderson was the third star with 3 assists. 8,005 people in attendance for the game. Brent Sutter opened up the scoring in the first from Bo Berglund and Matty Agman. Then Anton Stastny from Matty Agman and Glenn Anderson. 2-0 Hartford after 1. Then in the second period, Pierre Bouchard scored from Anton Stastny and Bo Berglund. Then the Rangers scored 2 goals. It was 3-2 Hartford. Then we scored 2 goals. Anton Stastny scored his 25th from Darren Veitch and Rick Aduano. And then Anton Stastny again from Glenn Anderson. It was 5-2 at that point. The Rangers scored, made it 5-3, but we scored right back. Gordy Roberts scored his 15th on the power play from Darren Veitch and Peter Stastny. 6-3 Hartford here after 2. Then in the third period, the Rangers scored. It was 6-4. We scored. It was Jordy Douglas, his 10th of the season from Glenn Anderson and Rick Aduano. 7-4, and then the Rangers scored again, but it was too little too late. It's a 7-5 victory over here for the Whalers. John Paddock has been put on waivers. Anton Stastny has a good game. He had 3 goals and an assist, as we saw against the Rangers. Neil Broughton is suspended with Minnesota. He's going to miss 1 game. Eddie Johnston lights the lamp for the Montreal Canadiens. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Jets. Mike Bossy extends his assist streak to 9 games with an assist against the Flyers. Oh, Mike Rogers got hurt in Pittsburgh. That sucks for them, because that's the guy I sent for the first round draft pick, and he's going to miss 3 months. Sorry guys, I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't screw you over on purpose. And Ron Stackhouse feeling better. Let's put him back in the lineup. And we're going to send Bill Kitchen back down. Right, and now we're going to go ahead and play the Islanders, a very good team. They are 38-10-7. So that's good for second in the conference. We are 1-0 against the Islanders this season. We did beat them 4-1 earlier this season. I wouldn't mind beating them again. Alright, Chico Resch is in net for the Islanders. John Garrett in net for us. Go Whalers go. That's going to be a tough one. And we won 6-5. Look at us. We are a completely new team since December. We have been a completely different hockey club here. We outshot the Islanders 35-33. Mark Messier was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and 1 assist. Clark Gillies was the second star with 3 assists. Jay Wells was the third star with a goal and an assist. 8,164 people in attendance for the game. Mark Messier opened up the scoring in the first from Wolf Payment and Rob Ramage. Then the Islanders scored and tied the game. It was 1-1 at that point, but we added 2 more goals before the end of the period. Jay Wells from Matty Agman and Glenn Anderson, and then Darren Veitch from Jordy Douglas and Dave Poulin. 3-1 Hartford after 1. Then in the second period, Paul Coffey scored on the power play from Wolf Payment and Gordy Roberts. Then Matty Agman from Mark Messier and Jay Wells. It was 5-1 at that point. Then the Islanders scored. It was 5-2 after 2. Then in the third period, the Islanders scored, made it 5-3. Then Mark Messier scored unassisted, made it 6-3. Islanders scored 2 more goals, but that's where it stopped. And it was a 6-5 victory. We had a fight between Paul Coffey and Denny Potvin. Ooh, 2 superstar defensemen went at it and decided to face punch each other. So with that win, we have reached the cap of 30 wins this season. Right, so Mike Bussey extends his assist streak to 10 games. He did get 2 goals and an assist against us. Sil Apps has produced 500 assists in his career with an assist against the Flyers. Sil Apps is 34 and he is a 3-star player. Will Phil Esposito retire? He's 39, playing for the Rangers, 3.5 stars, so he might. And Bob Stevenson feeling better. Right, we have a day off, and then we're going to be playing in Calgary against the Flames. Oh, Gilles Meloche has been put on waivers by the Islanders. He's right there, around the same age and talent level of the, like, Gilles Gilbert and John Garrett, so we're not gonna claim him. Alright, so Neil Broughton's suspension ended. He is back in the lineup here for the North Stars. Bob Stevenson is feeling better. Oh, Ken Morrow was traded to the North Stars for Martin Lindsay and Gilles Meloche. What a stupid trade. See, that's what I hate sometimes about this game, is that, you know, I keep complaining about how, hey, you know, the computer makes a trade and then they put the player straight on waivers. Now, that's a trade that makes 0 sense, because the Islanders traded a okay defenseman in Ken Morrow. They traded him over to Minnesota. The piece in the trade back is Gilles Meloche, and they have put him straight back on waivers. And not only that, but they bought back the contract of Roberto Romano, which is also a goaltender. So they didn't need goaltending, and there's no cap, so there was no reason to get rid of Morrow for money reasons. So trades like that, I really have a hard time to just be like, oh yeah, maybe it was for the American League or something like that. It just doesn't compute for me. Like, it's a flaw in the AI for sure. Alright, so we are going to go and play in Calgary against the Flames. Flames are 20-31-8 this season. We have, despite them not being a very good team, we have not been able to beat them. We got trounced 10-6 and we lost 7-3 as well. So today is the day that we get revenge. Hopefully. Should I get Meloche 14-15? 14, 14, 14, 15. Yeah, I mean, I have similar. John Garrett plays well. I have no reason to get rid of him. And I mean, Gilles Gilbert's pretty much the same, and he's playing alright as well. So we're not gonna do nothing. We're just gonna play our game against Calgary and go on with our day. Gilles Gilbert's gonna be in net for us. Dan Bouchard in net for the Flames. Go, Whalers, go! And finally, we solved the Flames with a 5-3 victory over them there in Calgary. 5-3 win. We outshot Calgary 43-37. Mark Messier was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Anderson was the second star with a goal and an assist, and Bo Berglund was the third star with a goal and an assist as well. Calgary opened up the scoring in the first period, then Bo Berglund tied the game from Chuck Lefley and Matty Agman, then Paul Coffey scored from Mark Messier and Wolf Payment, 2-1 Hartford after one. Then in the second period, Mark Messier made it 3-1 from Peter Stachny and Ron Stackhouse. Then Calgary came to within one, it was 3-2, but then Glenn Anderson scored unassisted 4-2 Whalers after two. We had a fight between Paul Baxter and Mark Messier. Then in the third period, Rob Ramage scored his 10th of the season from Bo Berglund and Bernie Johnston. And then the Flames scored again. It was 5-3, but that wasn't enough. We won this fair and square. A nice 5-3 victory over the Flames there. Bo Berglund got hurt in the game, but he is day-to-day, so he should be good. Bernie Johnson improves at left wing. Well, good for him. Alright, we have 3 days off, and then we're going to be in Edmonton to play against the Oilers. Mike Bussey has racked up 300 goals in his career with a hat-trick against Pittsburgh. Mike Bussey is 25 years old, and he is obviously a 5-star player. Good night from Mike Bussey. As we saw, he had a hat-trick. Mike Bussey's assist streak ended at 10 games, so he only had the 3 goals, no assists, so that streak is over. Big game for Brian Trottier. In that same game, he had 4 assists. Bob Stevenson feeling better. Right, a few more days off. Darryl Sutter lights the lamp for the Blackhawks. He had 3 goals and an assist against the Buffalo Sabres. Washington's Casolato is suspended. He's going to miss 3 games. Excellent passing leads to productive night for Steve Larmer. He had 4 assists against the Kings. Russ Lansbury has tallied 1,000 games played in the NHL. He didn't get a point. That was against the Rangers. Russ Lansbury is 35 years old and he is a 2.5-star player. Suspension for Boston's Paul Holmgren. He's going to miss 4 games. And Bob Stevenson is completely recovered. 1 more day off. And then we're going to be playing the Oilers. Alright, no one could stop Zino Cicerelli. Oh, small game for him. He only had a hat-trick, only 3 goals. We've seen you do better, Zino. Come on. Alright, so hat-trick against the Flames. Mike Bussey extends his point streak to 12 games. He had 2 goals and an assist against the Flyers. And Bernie Federico signs an extension with the Blues. That is a 2-year extension. Alright, so we are in Edmonton to play against the Oilers. Alright, so Oilers are 29, 19, and 13, so that's a lot of ties. We are 0-2 against the Oilers, including a 12-3 trouncing, so we would love, just like against the Flames, we would love to get like a first win of the season against them. Set the record straight, but they do have Wayne Gretzky, so that might be hard. John Garrett is going to be in net for us. Our old teammate Al Smith is going to be in net for the others. Go, Hartford, go, come on. A 5-2 victory, so we have still not lost in February. So that's 3 months in a row that we're just like not losing many games. I love that. Alright, so 5-2 victory on the road in Edmonton. We outshot Edmonton 40-28. Bob Stevenson was the first star of the game. He had 2 assists. Matty Agman was the second star with a goal and an assist. And Mark Massey was the third star with 2 goals. Mark Massey opened up the scoring in the first from Wilf Payman and Peter Stastny. 1-0 Hartford after 1. There was a fight between Brett Callaghan and Mark Messier. Then in the second period, Darren Veitch scored from Chuck Lefley and Matty Agman. It was 2-0, then the Oilers scored twice, and it was 2-2, but Matty Agman gave us the lead back before the end of the period from Bob Stevenson and Gordy Roberts. 3-2 Hartford after 2. We added 2 goals in the third period. Mark Massey scored his 20th of the season from Bob Stevenson and Darren Veitch, and then Anton Stastny from Rick Aduano and Glenn Anderson. 5-2 the final score. There was also face punching between Dave Hunter and Rob Ramage. Did Gretzky even play? Is he hurt? Yeah, he did play. We held Wayne Gretzky scoreless. I just want to say that. And now I'm going to advance the day. Mike Antonovich might be departing Vancouver. Well, he's been put on the block. He's also been put on waivers like 4 times this season. Then there's been a trade between the Red Wings and the Rangers. Andy Brickley for a 3rd round draft pick. Right, so Andy Brickley is now a Ranger, and Detroit gets a 3rd round draft pick that belongs to Calgary. Alright, so we are now in Vancouver to play the Canucks. Canucks are 27-24-9. Hey, I think that's the first time I've seen the Canucks with a winning record since I started. Good for them. They're starting to be better. Alright, so we are 2-0 against Vancouver this season, so we won both games. I'd love to keep an immaculate record against them, so let's win this one as well. Gilles Gilbert in net for us, Glenn Hanlon in net for Vancouver, and of course, go Raiders, go! A 3-3 tie. I guess I'll take it, just to keep the undefeated tag going on my month here. So a 3-3 tie. We did outshoot Vancouver 42-26. Oh god, Bill Derlago was the first star of the game. He had a goal and 2 assists. Jordy Douglas was the second star with a goal, and Gillis was the 3rd star with a goal and 2 assists. Canucks scored 3 goals in the first period. They were up 3-0. Then we scored 3 goals in the second period. Wilf Payman scored his 40th of the season from Rob Ramage. Then Rick Aduano scored his 10th from Bob Stevenson and Ron Stackhouse. And then Jordy Douglas from Bob Stevenson and Gordy Roberts. It was tied at 3 after 2. Nobody scored in the third. That was a tie game, folks. We are going to move on. Mike Bussey extends his point streak to 13 games. He had an assist against the Colorado Rockies. Steve Tambellini extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had 2 goals against the Colorado Rockies in that same game. Suspension for Craig McTavish with the Flyers. He's going to miss 2 games. And no one could stop Reggie Leach in that same game. He had a hat trick against Pittsburgh. Right, one more day off, and then we're going to be in Minnesota to play against the North Stars. Woody Huber was suspended in Detroit. He's going to miss 4 games. Bobby Clark reaches 750 assists in his career with 2 assists against the Boston Bruins. So Bobby Clark is 32 years old, and he is a 3-star player. Mike Bussey extends his point streak to 14 games with 2 assists against Pittsburgh. Steve Tambellini extends his goal streak to 6 games with a goal in that same game. And Bo Berglund feeling better. Alright, Minnesota now on the menu. They are 31-24-6 on the season. We are 0-1 against Minnesota. We played them only once, and we got torched 9-2. As lately, it's been revenge season for the Raiders. We've been able